my first day moving into student halls, I was greeted by a very friendly guy called Dominic. He was very camp and told me he was gay early in the conversation, but I didn't have a problem with that. He offered to help me unpack in my room, then go for a drink with me. Although I thought this was a little overfamiliar, I was delighted that I had made a friend so quickly and accepted his offer. He put a tremendous amount of effort in helping me put everything in the appropriate places in my room. We then went for a drink at the student bar. I made a point to tell him I was straight, as I suspected he might have a bit of a crush on me, hence why he was being so nice. However, he didn't show any signs of dismay and continued chatting to me. I liked him a lot. He was very intelligent and interesting to talk to, and I was very pleased that I had a new friend already. I was worried that I'd be lonely in the uni dorms. He didn't live in the SAM building as me, he just lived across. I was studying creative writing and he was studying business, but we started to hang out a lot. Although I liked Dominic, I did start to find him a little overbearing. He would send me texts and message me on Facebook all the time, and would get upset if I didn't reply, even if it was only for about 5 minutes. He would always want to know what I was doing, and if I disappeared off Facebook for a while, he would want to know where I'd been all day. One time I even sent him a text mentioning I was on a train, and he texted back, "Why are you on a train? Why am I not invited to wherever you're going?" I was on my way to my part-time job. I made quite a few other friends, and he would always show visible signs of displeasure whenever they were around, and whenever I talked to him about them, he would tell me he disliked them and that I shouldn't trust them. He was very possessive, and I personally can't stand clingy friends, so I tried to distance myself from him a bit. But the more I pulled away, the tighter he held. I still hung out with him and still cared about him, but I was starting to worry about where this friendship was going. I was pretty sure this guy had a crush on me, and soon my suspicions were confirmed. I met this girl at a party I went to called Anna and asked her out on a date. She accepted. I was really thrilled and told Dominic about it. The second I told him, his face fell. "Why are you going on a date with her?" he asked me, sounding very worried. "Of course I want to," I said. "But I'm going to be jealous," he said. "Please don't go, it'll really hurt me. You wouldn't want to hurt me, I'm your best friend." I had never actually told him he was my best friend before, and I found the way he was acting now both annoying and a little creepy. "I'm sorry, but I told you I was straight before, Dominic," I said. "We can still be friends, but I'm not going to stop dating just for you." He remained sulky and miserable the rest of the night. I told myself that he'd have to accept it and get over it soon. But when I was on the date with Anna, I kept getting phone calls from unknown numbers. I answered at first, but I couldn't hear anything on the other end. It was just as though someone was listening. I started to ignore the calls, but you would not believe how frequently they were coming in. They were coming in non-stop, and I couldn't even tell the time because they seriously would not stop. I had to put my phone on airplane mode. After about an hour of my phone in airplane mode, I switched airplane mode off. But the very second I did, the calls came in again. Although I was unnerved, I enjoyed my date with Anna, and we agreed to meet up again. When I got home from the date, Dominic was waiting right outside my dorm, his phone in his hand. "How was your date? Do you like her?" he asked, sounding miserable. "Yeah, I do," I told him. "Was that you who kept calling me?" "No," he said, but he was obviously lying. "But anyway, I've been waiting to tell you, I hear Anna's a massive slut. She sleeps around with loads of guys. You should stay away. She'll break your heart." Anna had no mutual connections with Dominic, so I asked him how he could possibly know about this. He just told me he'd done his research. I was angered and told him it was none of his business and that I'd find out for myself. He started crying, saying how he was just worried about me, and stormed off. I think he was hoping I'd follow him, but I didn't, and went to my room, angry that he would try to interfere with my life like this. I have had unrequited crushes on friends before, but if they don't feel the same, I never try to force it. But Dominic only got worse. When I got back to my student room, Dominic had sent me screenshots on Facebook of a conversation he had allegedly had with Anna. The messages showed her boasting to him about how she was using me and how she was planning to break my heart. Obviously, this didn't ring at all true, as one, how would she even know who Dominic was, and why would she message him, and two, why would she tell a friend of mine so openly what her plans for me were when he would obviously show me? I demanded that he show me the conversation from Anna on his computer screen with me there, but he told me that he had deleted the conversations because they were too upsetting for him to read. I knew right there and then that Dominic was deliberately trying to ruin my relationship with Anna through incredibly deceitful and despicable means, and I told him that I wasn't interested in him, that I never would be, and that he better stop right now. He told me that I was being a terrible friend, that all he was doing was trying to look out for me, and that he couldn't believe I was believing a stranger over him. I was seriously pissed off with the way he was selfishly trying to manipulate me now, and I blocked him on social media. He started sending me constant texts and calling me nonstop every day, telling me things like he was so depressed over me that he'd started taking heroin, and that he was contemplating suicide, basically trying to make me worry. He would also constantly send me texts saying he knew Anna was cheating on me, and that I had to come to my senses. He was creeping me out so much that I went to stay with my parents for a bit, as I wasn't comfortable living in the same area as him. I had to block his number because the phone calls were so constant. People from my uni dorm were sending me angry messages because Dominic had told them a really twisted version of what was going on, making them think that Anna was a dirty, STD-ridden whore who I had betrayed him for. It then turned out that he had been lying to everyone, telling them that me and him were in a romantic sexual relationship, and that I had cheated him with Anna, then left him for her. I furiously set everyone straight, told them that I had never been in a relationship with Dominic and that everything he told them about Anna was bullshit. Most people believed me, although it took a while to convince everyone that Dominic was the liar. He was very manipulative, and although a lot of his lies were ludicrous, he was very good at making himself sound legit. I decided to go back to my uni dorm after a while, as it was inconvenient for me to stay at my parents' while at uni. Their house was far away from it. I arrived back there quite late as I really didn't want to run into Dominic. I was so angry about him. I had a new girlfriend and studies to think about, yet because of his fucking obsession and harassment, he was now all I could think about. In a very twisted way, I think this was what he wanted. Positively or negatively, he wanted me thinking about him. When I got back, I just lay down on my bed thinking about what to do when suddenly, smash, a fucking brick came flying through my window. I zoomed a mile and rolled over the side of my bed, hiding there for a moment thinking it was burglars coming in or something, but nothing more happened. Once I got over the shock, I cautiously stepped over the broken glass and tried to look out of the window, when I got a phone call off a number I didn't recognize. I answered it, and it was Dominic, and you will not believe what he said. "I just saw Anna throw a brick through your window and run," he shouted. "I told you she was bad news. You should have listened to me. I told you." You would not believe the rage I felt. I was so angry I couldn't even speak for a moment, but then I just exploded. I screamed at him that I knew it was him and I was calling the police right now. He tried to protest, but I hung up on him and immediately called them. When they arrived, Dominic was not in his room, but when it was opened up, a large stash of illegal drugs was found there. The manager of my student halls assured me that he'd be getting kicked out for this, and the police said they would be getting in touch with him. After this, I never saw Dominic again. I changed my phone number and never unblocked him on social media. A couple of times I was tempted to out of sheer curiosity, but decided it wasn't worth it. I think he dropped out of the uni, but I don't know exactly what happened to him. My relationship with Anna didn't last. She was never quite clear on why she ended it, but I actually suspect that Dominic's freakish behavior scared her off, even though it wasn't my fault. Well, life goes on. This happened on Saturday. My girlfriend Tess, my puppy Jack, and I are all getting ready for a road trip. We're planning on meeting some friends at their house and then starting the trip from there. On our way to their house around 11 a.m., a white car with all tinted windows cuts us off and brake checks us close enough that I had to slam the brakes and swerve to avoid an accident. In the immediate fury, I honked and flipped the driver off. I wish I hadn't done this. Immediately, the driver rolls down his window and waves his hand over. He slows down to go back to other lanes so that our cars are parallel to one another. The driver is gesturing wildly and yelling at us while we continue driving down the avenue. I proceed to make gestures to calm down and then try to ignore him and continue driving. He continues driving right next to us. Eventually, I try speeding up, and he revs in front of me and tries brake checking me again. At this point, I swerve to the other lane and he again slows down to match my vehicle's speed. He is still gesturing and screaming while I try to ignore him. Suddenly, he reaches in his lap and I notice he is holding a glass bottle. He throws it, and it shatters at the side of my vehicle. Tess is hysterical at this point, and the pup had hidden under the passenger seat. I go into adrenaline mode and try turning into different streets as the chase ensues. He is following close behind when he throws another glass bottle that shatters against my back window. I tell Tess to call the police as we speed down a 2-lane street and up a hill. She calls 911 as I come to a stop at the light at the top of the hill. The guy chasing us slows down to a stop behind us. Suddenly he hops out of his vehicle, and in my rearview mirror I see him reach back into his car and grab something and puts it into his shorts. He begins walking toward my side of the car as the car in front of me drives away. I noped the fuck out of there, slammed the gas, and turned into the next avenue. Within a minute he is caught back up to us as I am now on speaker with 911, explaining the situation and giving them details of his car and appearance. Tess is crying as we speed down a busy avenue, weaving in between cars at 20 above the speed limit. I'm updating the 911 lady with where we are, and she tells me to drive to the station. At the next red light, he yells now audibly, "Do we have a problem? Don't fucking flip me off." I'm trying to gesture that we do not have any problem. He is still trying to get me to get out of the car. The light is still red and he again hops out of his vehicle. I again floor it through the red, and he continues chasing as I make way toward the police station. We're now accelerating and brake checking each other as he tries to drive off the road. I make gestures that he should continue following, hoping to get him to the station. About a block from the police, we get stuck in a busy intersection. There are many cars around as he again walks up to my car. This time I'm boxed in and Tess is panicking. I'm looking for any escape options to no avail. The drivers around us notice and many put their windows up and lock their doors. He comes right up to my window, slaps it with his palm and asks one more time if there is a fucking problem. I again adamantly say no. The 911 lady tells me to not engage over the phone speaker. He says good. He gets back into his car and then speeds away, 20 minutes into this horrible car chase experience. We end up meeting with the cops and they say there was nothing they could do, even though I updated them with more details of his direction and where he was last. We calmed down and then continued our road trip. A couple of months ago, while house-sitting and dog-sitting for my parents, I had an eerie feeling. As an obsessive ID channel watcher and younger female, I played it off as paranoia. During these few days, whenever I took the dog out, he suddenly began sniffing areas he never sniffed before, particularly under each of our windows. And thankfully, it's because of him that I discovered 2 larger footprints under a window that looks directly into our living and dining room. Around this same time, about 2 months ago, I noticed a man walking up and down our street that I'd never seen in the entire of my life. He also had, in my opinion, odd mannerisms. Prolonged eye contact, continued staring and craning his neck as he walked by and never returned my smiles, hellos, or waves. Eventually I became irritated due to how creeped out I was with both him and the eerie feeling in general, and decided to wave. Upon no acknowledgement in return, other than a cold stare, I got up and acted like I was going to follow him down the street, to which made him walk faster and turn a sudden corner. Never saw him again. Now today, I help my parents out by picking up their dog from the groomers. As it's right up the street in a safe suburban area, oftentimes I don't lock while running errands in town. When I returned home with the dog, I had an unexplained, horrible feeling the minute I walked in the door. Something, maybe a blanket, seemed misplaced. Something was off. I threw a load of laundry on in the basement and quickly stood up and looked around. No one there. Then I proceed to the bathroom to check my makeup, and right then I look down to my left and there's feces in the toilet, with no toilet paper and not flushed. I've been the only one home all morning. I immediately throw back the shower curtain and start shaking, adrenaline, and when nothing is there, I close the bathroom door and lock myself inside. I called dispatch. They arrived in less than 2 minutes. Search the entire property, make me check my laptop to see if any recent search history isn't my own. Interesting. And check the fridge to see if food is missing. All valuables are accounted for. I know this isn't my feces. No one in my family would have a bowel movement and not use toilet paper or flush. I know someone has been here, yet because I love horror movies and the ID channel, they think I'm crazy. This situation is still developing, and I am afraid for my mother's safety. We have reported it to the police, and they have patrolled the area a few times but don't seem to be taking it seriously. My mom and I live alone in the rural Midwest. Closest neighbors are about a mile away. Thursday morning, my mom walked to her car to find small pieces of paper blowing around in the grass around her car and a bag sitting on top. The notes are very disturbing and sexually graphic. Some of them imply that he is watching her and that he can see her at that very moment. Inside the bag, 2 glass dildos. She is not a very social person. She doesn't have any enemies or even friends who would do this. She reported it to the police right away. One of our neighbors drove by our house that same morning and noticed a man in his 20s, with rotting teeth and brown hair, walking down our gravel road away from our house. They asked him his business, and he claimed to be waiting for a ride, indicating his car had broken down or something. That night, a man fitting that description knocked on our door, one that we never use. She was alone, so she turned the lights off and called the police. They didn't arrive for 45 minutes. She said he was wearing a large black cowboy hat and carrying 2 large bags. He looked similar to our neighbor's description, but this time he was close enough for her to notice freckles. A little while ago, we noticed he had been in the garage and stolen 2 full gas cans. There are a lot of outbuildings and land, trees, and hills for him to hide. My house has a lot of windows. We have begun keeping the doors locked, windows and curtains shut. I am paranoid and terrified. My mom is mostly angry, but she shouldn't feel unsafe in her own home. What do we do? Why would a person do this? I also can provide pictures of the notes and the contents of the bag if there is interest.